want to tell you about the single most powerful tactic and also most underutilized combat tactic in Rise of Kingdoms, because in part it's really cheesy, in part it's kind of annoying and unfun to do, but if you do this one thing called one troop debuffing, you will sway reports for rallies and garrisons absolutely catastrophically in your favor, and that is not an understatement. So stick around in this video for the full rundown. What is one troop debuffing? Which commanders are the very best? And most importantly, why I am making this video right now, because I think with the release of Flavius Aetius in the game, one troop debuffing is about to break rallies and garrisons in Rise of Kingdoms. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and I waited a long time to make this video because I really didn't want to promote this tactic. However, it's used so much in KVK, and our opponents used it against us extensively in this last KVK, that we really need to be talking about it, and everybody should be doing it. And I hope that it's eventually removed from the game, but until it is, this is the meta. There's no questions asked that if you make an army that has absolutely insane debuffs, it doesn't even need to be a sensical army. It can be, let's say, Guan Yu and Minamoto. You'd be like, what? Why would you ever use that? You put one troop in the army. It can even be a T1 troop. And when this march hits a rally or garrison, this little one trooper right over here, if I connect with a rally or garrison, I have a chance to apply all of my passive skill debuffs. You may think, well, that's not that big a deal, is it? Let me show you why this is absolutely catastrophic, because you see, I'm going to take nearly zero hospitable. Heck, if my one troop dies because I'm hitting a flag, right? I hit a flag, who cares? It's one T1 troop. Actually, who cares? But the debuffs are disgusting. Now, that march that I picked out, almost randomly, practically, I didn't plan to use that combination, but Guan Yu has a 10% chance when you are attacking a city or a garrison to reduce the target's attack by 30%. Not a bad debuff to smash into a garrison with. Or a more versatile commander like Minamoto has an absolutely disgusting passive debuff. Normal attacks led by this commander have a 10% chance to increase the damage taken by the target by 30% for 3 seconds. That is disgusting. Now, we know that support skills in Heroic Anthem KVK are very powerful. If you're in the Season of Conquest, you can do Bastion quests and unlock extra skills and apply them to commanders. This is like having extra support skills on your commanders. It's insane. It's like taking skills from one commander and putting it on your rally, which is hitting the structure. And it's not exactly like that, because you do actually need to connect with the rally. But if you have absolute field control and you can actually consistently land on a rally or garrison, you can do some really disgusting things. In fact, if your city is right next to where the flag is, I guess because you random ported, or more likely, instead of being near an enemy flag, you're near your own flag, like Miss Vic is over here, they could one troop debuff a rally on this thing if the rally was right outside her city. And you can have debuffs that stack up over time. And you can, with army presets, do this so fast, that they actually stack up a lot. So, for example, if you're really slick, you can use a one troop debuff like Tamaris, which is going to make the target take extra skill damage. In fact, you can make it so that they take 45% extra skill damage for the duration of the fight. That's insane. Now, if I haven't convinced you yet, this is insanely powerful. I'm actually going to show you every single commander that has an insane debuff here, because you want to make potentially an upwards of 5 of these marches and just run them out there. Because if you're out of troops, but you still have some decent commanders that have some decent debuffs, guess what, baby? You're in business for one troop debuffing. And you could spend literally dozens of hours. I have seen people, they run themselves out of most of their troops, and then they just sit there in one troop nonstop for dozens of hours throughout a KVK, just spamming their presets over and over that do these one troop debuffs. So let me just review for you some insane debuffs here. The first debuff I already showed you, Guan Yu, reduce the target's attack by 30%. This only works on strongholds and cities, so don't try this out on a rally. Otherwise, you're attacking a rally, gives them a little bit of extra rage for no upside. Nebuchadnezzar, you may think, what does he do? Well, 10% chance to reduce the rage of the target by 100. Okay, that's a pretty big deal. The most rage you can get in a single turn is 220, And if you reduce the rage by 100, that means the most rage they can get in a turn is now 120. Nothing can make up for that rage cap being reduced in that single turn. Rage reduction effects are very powerful. If we get a look, and you know, I'm cruising through the majority of these commanders here. If we get a look at Attila, even Attila has an effect here for strongholds or cities, so not a way to debuff a rally, but a 10% chance to reduce the defense of the target by 25%. Oh, and by the way, all these passive skills stack up. They all stack, so there's no conflicts here. Artemisia is actually an example of a terrible commander to use because she has a debuff that actually makes the target take damage over time, but gives them extra skill damage dealt, which is like really bad. Like this is not good. You don't want to apply that debuff, okay? Continuing forward here, another insane debuff is Cyrus the Great, making it so that the target does, if you can believe it, 40% less skill damage. That's a lot, man. Like, this is a big deal, if I haven't convinced you yet. You've got Gilgamesh, by the way, who makes the target take 15% increased skill damage. That is also a savage debuff. You don't need to do a skill cycle. These are things that trigger from your normal attacks that you're using your one-troop debuffs with. We've already showed you Minamoto. We talked about that. Alexander the Great can reduce healing effectiveness. This is actually relevant against a Zenobia garrison. I mean, if you're making 5 marches that try to do these debuffs, that's a reasonable debuff to have apply. Tamaris, I've already talked about, who is insane. Here's the other one. This is the other big one that is most commonly used. It's Chandragupta. Once you get this skill maxed, especially, is very good. This makes it so that the target has a stacking defense and health reduction. And you have to target, actually, it doesn't even need to be a garrison. This could be a rally, too, where this would work. So this is a popular march for debuffing a rally, where you can stack up to 15% less defense and health. And if you're right next to the target, like, you can maintain this indefinitely. So 3 stacks, that's 30% of stats total. 15 health, 15 defense. That's a big deal. Are you convinced yet? Have I convinced you? There may be some other commanders that have some cool effects here, but I think you get the idea. These one-troop debuffs are very game-changing for your rally reports and garrison reports, and are very powerful. But if you thought that just being able to use commanders was everything you could do, there's even more here that you can go and do that's kind of disgusting. Because if you have certain equipment, there's 2 accessories here that are really important. One is the Concealed Dagger. The Concealed Dagger makes it so that you have a chance of stacking a health debuff on the target. That seems pretty good. Also can trigger with a 1-troop. And also, you've got Mora's Web, a defense reduction effect. Can trigger from normal attacks on the target. So, obviously, most people don't have multiple Mora's Webs or daggers. In fact, from watching my videos, you know that I think you should only have 1 of each. But you put those onto your marches as well, and the debuffs are absolutely disgusting. And theoretically, if you were rallying and no other troops were nearby, I guess your Karok War Drums could hit the garrison and then buff your rally, maybe? I don't know. I've never done that. I'm just speculating, and I think that's really far-fetched. However, there is one commander on his way into the game who will be here very shortly that I am very afraid is going to actually just break the game with how one-troop debuffing works. Here it is, folks. This is the skill that I am very afraid will break the game, and credit where credit is due. Sif sent me a message about this. Like, he was the first one that had actually messaged me anywhere, expressing concern about a one-troop debuff being completely busted. And the reason that this is totally overpowered is that you could have a Flavius Aetius garrison doing its thing, debuffing the rally, making it so that the garrison itself might silence the rally. But then you could have one-troop Flaviuses coming along here, and this makes it so that when you're launching a normal attack against a target inflicted with additional damage effects, well, the garrison is going to be applying those onto the target already, right? There is a 100% chance of inflicting silence for 2 seconds. So if you've got a Flavius garrison and you have one troops nearby that hit with Flaviuses, I know, it's like a luxury-ish to have so many Flaviuses sitting around, you can potentially permanently silence the rally. I mean, okay, it seems unlikely that you'll pull off a permanent silence, But the thing is that this effect can trigger only once every 7 seconds, but every effect that I know of in the game, like this, triggers based off of the commander that is doing the debuff. In other words, the garrison could do this once every 7 seconds, and every one troop march that you're using that has a Flavius can do this once every 7 seconds as well, which is how you could potentially chain these together. I mean, we're going to have to see when he comes into the game exactly how that works, and I have no doubt that there are probably other shenanigans that you can do with Flavius Aetius and his silencing here that is going to be absolutely disgusting, and especially as a one troop, where the losses are nearly zero, but the upside is absolutely devastating. I just am very concerned about what this is going to look like when he comes into the game. This is a mechanic that's been in the game, I think, forever. In fact, let me jump back in game. There's even another one-troop tactic that we do need to talk about, which is that if you have a rally or garrison, and you've got players in the same alliance as where that rally or garrison is coming from, you can reduce area of effect damage by putting a one troop into the cone of that AoE. So if my city was getting attacked and the rally is coming from this attack vector, the AoE will hit these one troop marches and it will reduce the skill damage dealt to the rally by 15% per target. You can see that, by the way, if we look at YSS, many area of effect damage skills will say damage dealt to target is reduced by 15% for each additional target. So one troop debuffs are one aspect of the one troop conundrum. I'll call it a conundrum. Oh, maybe we should call it the meta, the one troop meta. But the other side of the one troop meta is actually making garrisons and rallies do less damage by virtue of putting one troop marches into harm's way. You may even have your troop die, but who cares? It's just one and you can use T1, so who cares? I don't know offhand what the answer is for how this should actually work. If you only should be able to have your debuffs apply if your march is a certain percentage in size compared to whatever it is that you're hitting. Like, but there's a little bit of a downside there where, like, sometimes people swarm like a flag and they run the thing all the way till it dies. And I think that's not a great choice, but that is like a legitimate instance where someone is genuinely attacking something, as opposed to this one troop cheesing where, like, that's really not what's happening at all. So I don't know if, like, your march should need to stay in combat with the target for more than one turn. But then, I mean, one troop debuffs can apply on the first turn. These debuffs should be able to apply, I should say, on the first turn of combat if you were fighting honestly. So I don't know, man. I don't know what the answer is, but I know what I feel the problem is. And the problem is that one trooping is really strong. And I don't think it's particularly fun to be doing. And also with Flavius, I'm concerned about how powerful it might be. But I'm eager for your thoughts down below in the comments. And if you learned something in this video that might help you in KVK or battling against other players, throw a like on here. Consider subscribing. And if you're looking for more information about the new commanders coming into the game, I'll have a card up in the top where you can learn about Flavius's entire kit. I don't know that he's great in the field in general, but man, every garrison captain that maxes him, should they be one trooping with him as well as somebody else garrisoning with him? Probably. Until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.